Hi, my name is Aya. You're watching Aya Reads, and I'm here to introduce my vlog of reading The Things We Water by Mariana Zapata. So if you've not watched a video of mine doing these types of reading vlogs, they will be mostly non-spoiler. There might be some mild spoilers, but nothing major at all. So you're free to watch it if you have not read it. If you want to go into your books not knowing anything, then I wouldn't recommend you watch this video. But if you're okay with some mild spoilers, then feel free to watch. If I do want to spoil some major plot points, I will leave those to the end of the video, and I will warn you ahead of time once I do get into major spoilers. I have never read a Mariana Zapata book, so this will be my first, and it's interesting because it's her first paranormal, I'm pretty sure. So I actually already started reading this book by the time I'm filming this intro, but I was very excited to read this book and read her, finally see what the hype is with her. So this is a werewolf book, so if you enjoyed this video, definitely make sure to leave me a like and also give me all your thoughts on this book. But if you don't have any thoughts, leave me a werewolf emoji in the comments, and I really hope you enjoyed this video. So I'm on page 225, which is chapter 10. So I'm about 30% of the way through, and I am really enjoying myself. So let's talk about what this book is about. So you follow Nina, and this book takes place in a paranormal world where any type of paranormal being you can think of exists in this world. So, or fantastical beings. Werewolves, of course. Selkies, Sasquatches, satyrs, trolls, ogres, any type of mythical being exists in this world. And so therefore the paranormal community is very large, but there are still humans that don't have any clue. The story goes that thousands of years ago, this meteor hit the earth, and that is what created these supernatural beings. And this story, you follow Nina, who is the adoptive mother of a being that very much looks like a dog, a black hound or something, a black hound puppy. She always knew that he was paranormal, but it's not clear what he is. His tail is on fire, the end of his tail is always on fire, and it only actually burns something once he's scared or angry. And he can talk, he can communicate with her telepathically. She's also a paranormal being, but it's not clear what she is. She doesn't know her adoptive, so she was adopted by werewolves. They didn't know what she was. Most paranormal beings can shift. She cannot. So she has always been in her human body, and she's never shifted. She has an interesting smell because, of course, this is a very werewolf-centered story. Smell is a very big part of this story. So it seems like to half of the paranormal, or more than half of the paranormal creatures out there, she smells delicious. Like one of the people she met, or one of the kids she met, described her as smelling like birthday cake. And then to some paranormal creatures, she smells disgusting and like death and like demons and like everything evil and like an abomination. She has been living her life in this van with little Duncan, her dog, or Donut, as she calls him. Like, I'm calling him a dog. I don't know. Like, we still don't know what kind of creature he is, but he also has never shifted. He has stayed as a puppy ever since she started taking care of him. And she has a best friend who's a werewolf. Or she has two best friends who are mated, and they are werewolves. And the beginning of the story, she's at their place saying that she needs help with little Duncan because it's dangerous for them out in this wide world. They need a place for Duncan to be himself, where they're safe and no harm can come to him. So she knows that her best friend has a cousin named Henry who lives out in this magical forest commune type place. She wants to go there and she wants to live there so that Duncan and her can be safe. She knows that the rules are that whenever, if a stranger wants to join their community, they can only do so by marrying somebody there. So where I'm at now, she and her two friends, Maddie, right? And Sienna arrived at this like compound thing. She met Henry, the cousin. He's like a handsome giant werewolf. Where I'm at now, Henry, or like the elders that get to decide whether or not she can stay, told her that she can stay, but there's this 3-month trial period, and after 3 months they will decide whether or not she can stay permanently. And then she has a year to find somebody that she can get married to. So far, I am really, really loving this book. It is so cozy to me. Like, it feels like I'm transported to fall just reading this. It is very, very, very slow burn. It's not action-packed at all. It's a book you definitely have to take your time with because it's a giant one. It's over 700 pages already. It doesn't really need to be over 700 pages. I already know that. But I don't know, it just feels like a giant hug to me. You guys know I'm a werewolf stan. I love werewolf romances. And this one has all the fixings of werewolf stuff I love. I love the pack dynamics in this book. I love the constantly sniffing and smelling each other. I love the whole taking care of everybody together. So, I mean, I'm just gonna read you a part, and that is just one thing I just love already. So Henry tells her when she asks him about another child that wanted to go with her and she was scared that she would have to, like, it would be considered kidnapping. So he tells her, every child here considers every elder extended grandparents in the same way that every adult is a guardian to every child. You're included in that now. Their safety and well-being are the responsibility of everyone, not just their biological family member. And I just love that. You know, reading this made me realize that I'm very susceptible probably to joining like some sort of commune or cult type thing, because I just love that whole dynamic of raising children together and having this like close-knit family ties, found family aspect. I just love that. I think that is one of the big reasons why I love werewolf stories so much, is the found family of it all. I just love that so much. And I love the fact in this book that, yes, obviously majority werewolf, because her biological or her adoptive parents are werewolves, her best friends are werewolves, Henry, the love interest, is also a werewolf. And like generally, there are a lot of werewolves in this world. There's also the other supernatural being, so then it definitely feels more found family than other werewolf stories generally are. I also love the fact that how she describes werewolves once again solidifies why werewolves are top tier paranormal creature in my opinion. So she says, so she's now debating, you know, what guy she should get married to. So far there aren't any viable candidates yet, apart from Henry, of course. So she says, because if it was a werewolf, they stayed with their mate. A werewolf's dedication to their partner was unparalleled. In sickness and in health, through sunny skies and tornadoes, they stayed together. And I like that. I always had. And I like that too. I always have. I just love that so much. So this is like all the other Mariana Zapata books, which, as I said in my intro, I've never read a Mariana Zapata ever, but of course I've heard the reviews and stuff. So she's known to write slow burns, and this definitely is one, because like I said, I am already 225 pages of the way through. The books I normally read, the couple would have had sex at least 3 times by now, and these two, yes, there are some things between them, but nothing romantic has happened yet. So there is an age gap here. It's not specified how big the age gap is. I do know Nina is early 30s. Henry, she's known since she was a child because he was her best friend's cousin. So there was a year where he lived with his cousin, and he was quite a bit older. Like at one point when Maddie's parents die, he's actually the guardian over him. So there is a big age gap. I think if I have to guess, it's about 10 years. It's about 10 years, or between 5 and 10, I think. So there's a nickname in here. He calls her Cricket. And you guys know I love nicknames, but I love this kind of nickname even more because it's a nickname from when she was a child. So it is something he has called her before. So that really like endears me to them even more. The fact that he calls her Cricket, she calls him Fluffy, and the way they already have this established relationship already of like friendship type of thing. So once again, this all happened in like the quotes I'm reading you are from the last chapter actually. So he tells her, "You don't look like the cricket I remember or smell like her. Then you laugh or say something cute and I know it's you." And yeah, to me already, since I am such a connoisseur of werewolf romances, I think there are some subtle hints that they are fated mates because of the way Henry reacts to her sometimes. And like during their first meeting again, there was like a look between him and his cousin. So this is single point of view, so we don't actually get Henry's thoughts, but I don't know, it feels like he is smelling his fated mate. And she is kind of obsessed with the way this compound smell, or like the forest smells, and she says like it feels like it's like catnip in a way. And I have a feeling that the reason she finds this smell so mesmerizing is because it is tied to Henry and he's also her mate. That is just my theory. I don't know for sure yet. So yeah, I am enjoying their interactions together. Like I said, it is slow burn so far. Nothing has happened yet, but I do like them. I also really like her. I really love her friendship with both Sienna and Maddie. And that ties with the fact that I very much enjoy Nina. I think she's such a funny character. Like she has already made me laugh out loud a couple times, and whenever she's the funniest when she's interacting with her friends, Maddie especially. I just am laughing out loud a lot while reading their interaction. So it's gonna make me sad. So they're not staying because they love living in the city. So it's gonna make me sad when she has to inevitably say goodbye to them when they return to their life. But I do like their dynamic together. I love the fact that she's grown up with Maddie. So they really know each other through and through. So I actually like the way she talks about him too, to Henry. So she's kind of still harboring a little bit of resentment towards Henry for taking Maddie away from her when they were growing up after his parents died. And he took him away without her getting a chance to say goodbye. So she actually tells him he was mine just as much as he was yours, which, yes, I love those things. Like, I just love, once again, like you guys know, I go feral for possessive heroes and heroes who say mine, but I think it extends towards pack dynamics, friendships as well. Like I just like it when people say shit like that, and that is why I love paranormal books, because it's like it makes more sense in that setting, I guess. And Duncan is just the most adorable good boy there is. So this is what he looks like. He is just the most adorable thing ever. So he can only say he can only say like 3 words: yes, no, love. And I love his interactions with Nina, and whenever he feels content or happy, he communicates that through either of those 3 words. So this is technically a single mom romance, and I love, even though this is set in a paranormal setting, I love that there are still some relatable moments there. So there was a scene where Henry told her she had to drop Duncan off at the nursery, and she didn't want to, and she refused. And then she was kind of forced to. And then she was heartbroken and betrayed when Duncan just left her and was happy to stay there. And she was like, oh no, my baby's growing up. I just like that aspect. So I really love their dynamic together. And I love the fact that she would do anything for him, but also loved already there was like 2 scenes of him being so protective over her as well, even though he's like this tiny little puppy. Like the way there was this one scene where he actually tried to protect her from Henry, who is literally a giant werewolf. And he's just like this little puppy. And it was just great. Like I am thoroughly entertained, thoroughly enjoying myself. But like I said, I do have to say, like as far as plot is concerned and the romance is concerned, so far where I am at, nothing much has happened yet. Like there's been little moments of like danger. No actual danger, actually. But yeah, I kind of understand why this has over 700 pages, because so far in the first 30%, nothing really has been established yet, but I am excited to see what else is going to happen. So yeah, I think this book is gonna take me. So I started it yesterday, but I only got 70 pages through. Today I read about, like, I think I'm gonna be reading hopefully 200 pages. And then I wanna upload this video on Monday. And right now it's Saturday. So I do need to read more. But the thing is with this book, because it's so slow paced, because it feels so cozy, it is very easy to put down. So the chapters are very long, and normally I hate that because I really love short chapters. But right now I'm reading this book in chunks of like 10 pages. So that is helping because it's very easy. Like I don't need to wait until a chapter is over to stop, because I can put it down and then get back to it and remember exactly what happened before, because it is not that plot focused. So yes, I'm gonna continue reading. So since this book is so long, I don't think I'm gonna wait until the end to update you. I think I'm gonna update you once there is some significant development in the romance, or maybe once I'm about 60% of the way through, or 50%, or maybe halfway through. I don't know, we'll see. You will know in like about a couple seconds. All right, it's the next day and I'm on page 454, which is chapter 18, and I'm 64% of the way through. And I am still really enjoying it. I do have 2 criticisms, which I'll talk about at the end of this update. But overall, I am really having the best time. I do have to say, I would already not recommend it if you're a plot-heavy reader. As I mentioned before, this doesn't have a plot. Like, it is both slow burn, but also slow pace. It feels like a slice of life, but in like this magical setting. Yes, obviously there are still some plot things happening, but mostly it revolves around the mystery of what she is and what Duncan is. But other than that, there's not really anything big that's happening plot-wise. And that will tie into one of the criticisms I have of this book. But like I said, so far I'm having the best time. I can definitely see this being a 5-star, or at the very least 4-star. But yeah, I still have to read about 40% of this book. One of the shining stars for me, as much as I am enjoying Henry, is Nina. Like, she is slowly becoming one of my favorite female characters because I just like how good she is. Like, she is a genuine good person. The way she always, anytime something well, first of all, she's feisty. She's funny, what I said before, but she's also a genuinely decent person. Like, anytime something happens, she always will self-reflect and look at her own part in whatever happened. And whenever she's wrong, she will apologize. And she is just willing to help anybody, like even strangers on the street. And I just really love her. She was really, like, I'm really endeared to her. I really am enjoying her character. Henry, he's also great. I love how protective he is. I love how possessive he is, not just of Nina, but also of everybody in the ranch. I think I said it in my first update, but the way he's like, they're all mine. Everybody here is mine, which I just love that. And I love how good he is with the puppies and the kids. Like, he is just the best. Like, I love how good he is with the kids, even though he's like this giant, gruff, sometimes grumpy guy. The way he softens for all the kids is just adorable, and obviously that makes me melt. And okay, so there was 2 marking scenes already where he's scent covering her, and that was so hot. If you read Bride by Ali Hazelwood and you found that scene hot, then I would highly recommend this book because it happened twice and it was so amazing. Let me read you a little bit. Henry Blackrock was covering me in his scent, and I just stood there. After maybe the longest minute or 2 of my life, because I was trying so hard not to react, he looked down and said, "Good. You smell like mine now." Ah! Stop! Oh my god, let me just die a little. I think I literally died when I read that. And after that, he did it again, and it just, like, I don't know why that is, but I just eat that shit up like catnip. Like, it is one of the micro tropes I really enjoy. Okay, so far, like I said, it's still slow burn, but I am definitely enjoying all the little moments between them. I can definitely see, so obviously Mariana Zapata is the queen of slow burn, and I can definitely see that in this book because even though nothing physical is happening, she is building a lot of tension. And even when it's just like one little touch, like him just touching her cheeks, is just enough to make me swoon. And I think she does that very well. You know, it was just like I said, a small moment of him just touching her cheek, but I reacted like I just read a full-on spicy scene. That is how good she writes the slow burn. And there was just one beautiful scene where they're both watching TV with both Duncan and Agnes, and they just sound like they read like a little family unit, and I just melted, and I just loved all that. So like I said, I am enjoying all the little moments between them, even though normally by this point I would complain about it being too slow burn. Obviously I knew what I was getting into. I knew Mariana Zapata is the queen of slow burn, so obviously I adjusted my expectations. But I do think she is doing it very well. And I love the physical touch in general in this book. Like, obviously we're like, this is a werewolf romance. Most werewolf stories will have physical touch as a big aspect, but I just loved it in this book. Like the way they kept touching each other, the way anytime she was upset, he would notice and he would cuddle her, and it was just amazing. I just loved that. So not just the cuddling, but he would sense that she would be upset, and he would just touch her in like any sort of way, like by putting his hand on her back or on her neck, and I would just melt. I love those scenes. And it's not just the case, like he doesn't just do it with her. He like physical touch is a werewolf trait in general. So I love seeing that. I love whenever there's a lot of physical touch in a book, like the love language physical touch. So once again, I'm just primed to love these kinds of stories. Now for the two criticisms I have. One is related to the plot. One is related to the romance. So let's talk about the plot thing first. Once again, like I said, before I get into them, they're not major criticisms. Right now where I'm at in the story, 60% of the way through, these two things don't bother me too much for me to not enjoy it. So the first one is, so this has happened a couple times where she will drop like a cliffhanger of sorts, either at the end of a chapter or at the end of a chapter break. And you think, okay, so you're excited to keep reading because finally like something exciting is happening. What is up with this hair? Let me just... Okay, so like I said, something finally exciting is happening. And then she would skip over that and fast forward a bit. And then we never actually got to see the aftermath of whatever was said or whatever was done. We only get to hear about it after the fact. So then something will happen, like something was said, and then it will skip forward like a couple hours, and then Nina will tell us what happened afterwards. And I do not like that because this is already a very slow-paced story, and those moments, they're exciting. That's why they're in there. So those things are moments for this slow-paced story to have some excitement, and then it just fizzled out. And I really don't understand why she chooses to do that. I think it's a writing quirk. I don't know if she did something similar in her other books, but especially in this paranormal book, I don't know, it bothered me that she did that. And the first time she did it, I was like, okay, fine. But then it happened again, and it really bothered me because, like I said, it was unnecessary. It happened. Why don't we just get to see what the reaction is? Why do we need to skip forward and then hear about it afterwards? It just doesn't make any sense to me. And it just makes this slow story even slower, in my opinion. And then another so it's more of a pet peeve. So, and it's bothering me here because this book is so long. So what I don't like usually in books is when the MMC, the main male character, is not making any moves towards the female main character, but then he's also keeping other guys away from her and sabotaging her trying to get close to other guys. I don't like that. Okay, shit or get off the pot. Okay, either you want to be with her and then make that clear, or have her be free to explore other possibilities. And I get it, this is a romance. Obviously, she's gonna end up with the main male character anyway. It makes the main male character, usually in these kinds of stories, it makes him unlikable. The fact that I have seen him be so good and sweet and wonderful in other ways makes me more generous towards him, but this is very annoying, and it's happening for so long. And I like some of my other favorite books have had something similar, but at least in those books, since those books are like about 400 pages, the time the hero is doing those things is shorter. But since this is a 700-page book, we get double the amount of pages of Henry doing that, and it is annoying to me. So in that case, I think I'd prefer her actually dating other people and him getting actively jealous because I just don't think it's fair. Like, normally it's annoying, but in this case, I feel like it is unfair, and it feels like he's sabotaging her staying there. And I know obviously that's not the case. Obviously they're gonna end up together. I get that. But she needs to get married to somebody to stay in this ranch. And the fact that he is actively sabotaging her attempts to do so and then not giving her anything in return when she has made it clear to him that he could be a viable option for her, then what are you doing? Do you want her to stay there or do you not? Because your actions right now makes it seem like you don't, when I know that you do. Obviously you do. So that is annoying. And normally, like I said, I would be annoyed but get over it pretty quickly. But since in this case, it is hundreds of pages of this happening, so I just want him to make it clear that she's his and nobody else's, and also make it clear to her, because it is obvious that he's making it clear to all the other unmated males that she's at least not theirs. But I just want this storyline to end real quickly. So those are my thoughts so far. Like I said, these two criticisms, they're not enough for me to not enjoy this book. It still feels just as cozy as I said before. I'm still, in fact, from whenever I stopped, like all the pages I read today, I actually was more intrigued. So I found myself reading more pages during my reading sessions than I did yesterday. So I am liking that. I feel like because this book is so long, I do feel like I'm getting to know these characters through and through, and this community through and through, and obviously I love that. That's why I love series. So basically this feels like a duology in one book. So I'm just gonna continue reading, and I think I'll just update you once I'm finished, because we're so far in now that if I actually react to something, it will spoil the book. So I'm gonna talk to you when I finish it. So I just finished and I loved it. I loved this book with my whole heart and soul. I'm gonna give it 5 stars, of course. And this was great, honestly. And yes, it's 700 pages long. And honestly, I do think it needs it, because the 700 pages did what they were supposed to do. I care about the characters so deeply. Like, I feel they have ingrained themselves into my being. I loved almost all of the characters we met, but of course Nina, I already talked much about her, Henry, but also like the side characters were amazing. I loved, of course, Duncan. I loved Agnes. Agnes was just the bestest girl in the world. I loved her so much. I loved her character development. I loved everything about her. I loved Franklin. I loved all the kids in this book. I just thought she did a wonderful job with these characters. It really felt like a found family to me. I just fell in love with each and every character in this book. They were all so complex, and yes, that does take time, that does take pages. Yeah, I would highly recommend this. But of course, like I said, you need to be okay with a slow-paced, slow-burn story. Otherwise, you will just not enjoy it. It's very character heavy and there's barely any plot. I just really enjoyed it. I loved all the reveals we got too about who, like what kind of being Nina is, what kind of being Duncan is. I honestly could have read 1,000 pages of them and not get bored. So I thought she did a wonderful job. And I thought she did a wonderful job with like the lore, with the werewolves. Like these felt like I don't know, this like really felt like a paranormal world to me, and I did think she did a wonderful job with the werewolf lore. So yeah, I really loved it. I am very much looking forward to reading anything this woman writes. I love her writing style. She has a beautiful writing style. And yeah, I don't know what else to say since my other updates were very long. I honestly think I have said all there is to say. It just continued being great in my opinion. And once the romance actually took off, I did enjoy that. Although I do have to say, yes, there is obviously a romance. And as much as I love the romance, I do think I love the other aspects of this book a little bit more. So the mom, like Nina being a mom, Nina's relationship with everybody else on the ranch, like the whole found family pack dynamic things. Those were the things that made this book a 5-star for me, not necessarily the romance, because if you really look at it, the amount of pages spent on the actual romance, it's very little compared to everything else that was going on. But like I said, I don't mind. I really felt like I knew these characters through and through, and this felt like coming home in a little, like in a way. I just felt like I was part of their community, and now having to say goodbye breaks my heart a little bit, because like I said, I could have read another 700 or 1,000 pages of these characters just doing mundane things. So yeah, this honestly might be one of my favorite books I read this year. Like, obviously it would depend on other books I read, but it wouldn't surprise me if this ended up on my favorites list this year, because I really loved it very much. So I guess those are my thoughts. Let me see if I took any other notes. Okay, there is one quote I want to read to you because I relate to this quote so much. Maybe some people thought you shouldn't be attractive to possessive people, but I wasn't one of them. It fueled my soul, fed my spirit. I could have glowed. I would have. I relate to this so much. I don't know. I just like when somebody, so she's talking about Henry here. I just like it when a man knows what he wants, and that is me. Like, I just like a possessive hero in books. I just do. It just melts my heart. And of course, werewolves are possessive in nature. So yes, I guess those were all my thoughts. I don't know if she's gonna write any more paranormal books, but I really wish she would, because I think she did a wonderful job with this book. If you read this book, leave all your thoughts down below. Did you love it? And especially if you have read other Mariana Zapata books, what did you think about this book? Comparing it to her other books. I would really love to know. Leave all your thoughts down below. And I really hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely let me know by leaving a like if you did. And thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.